welcome to Season 2, Episode 1 of Natural Pets TV, the dog edition. We've already started off with the cat edition. Hopefully you've watched that. Many of you have. This episode, we're going to focus on dog issues, and one in particular that I'm really excited to get to. But before I do that, I want to welcome our panel. I want to welcome Heidi Nevela, Dr. Jodie, and Dr. Ken. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
One of the topics that I think most people are confused by is a balanced dog versus an imbalanced dog. What does it mean? What can we be doing for them to get them in balance if they're out of balance? And how do we even know? So I'm going to throw it to Dr. Jodie. Kick us off here.
This is a great topic to start out with, Robert. Balance is wellness. We're from a holistic, natural, herbal background, and the best way to stay in balance is to live a great lifestyle and great nutrition. But the problem is we don't always do that. We don't always know how to do that the best way. We are also very afraid of things like pain and inflammation. And so we're always striving to push ourselves back into balance, sometimes too hard and too fast. We actually create more problems by doing that.
Right. And I like to think of balance in more of a global situation, and not just the pet with regards to nutrition and exercise and all of that, but how that pet fits in with the family. And what is the family's ability to provide the balance we focus on with the pet? And when we make recommendations, maybe think about the family situation in general and its total balance, as well as the balance of the individual. And even looking at the things we do, like vaccines. Yes, we need to protect them, but can we protect them too much? Do we need to back off? And look at balance in all aspects of every recommendation we make. And even when we look at medications, balance traditional with alternative. And I know, Heidi, you have some really good ideas on alternatives for achieving balance in pets.
Well, from an herbalist perspective, maintaining balance is the primary mission. And then when that's interrupted, then what steps you can take to restore it. And we tend to look at, in traditional medical system, you look at the whole body, so how every body system reacts or what the primary drivers are. Immunity the immune system tends to lead the pack in terms of topics and where we start. And there's a lot of different pathways to addressing wellness when it comes to immunity, and it usually tends to be driven by whatever condition is presenting. So just herbally, we always are inheriting some pet parent and their animal once they've already seen a qualified professional medical veterinarian like yourselves. And from there, maybe they're going into the natural world. So we tend to start with the basics, right? Like build on health, and diet is certainly the first one. But then when really there's some specific thing that has gone awry, usually herbally we turn to something, we tend to favor something like cat's claw. It's a full body immune modulator, meaning it can up-regulate or down-regulate as needed, and it affects deep immune function in all body systems. It's a really nice anti-inflammatory. It's got a good nutritive panel to it, helps digestion, detoxification, which is part of it. Mm-hmm. And that's just one thing, but that is immunity tends to be the main driver when it's going back to
it's never just one herb that you use for a situation either. Right. So even in natural medicine, we might get too focused on thinking that one herb's going to solve a problem.
No such thing.
And in allopathic, we're always putting a label on a disease, right, and forgetting that disease really means dis-ease, lack of ease, and we just need to nudge the body back into balance again. And we can do that with a variety of different foods, really bringing in superfoods. In addition to, sometimes we look at herbals like they're a remedy or medicine, but we can round it out more with Hippocrates and let food be thy medicine. And we just really need to remember that nutrition and lifestyle are really important for that balance that we're going for.
And I like what you said about environmental, because starting at home, assessing nutrition, assessing the diet, filtered water is a really good direction to go to and make sure your pet's getting that. And then really assessing what's going on inside and outside the home in terms of, I'm a very big believer in toxin avoidance for our animals. So really looking at what you have just in your home environment that might be taxing what's basically becoming a lack of balance in the body because of something you may unknowingly have, like scented candles or room deodorants or things like that that really can manifest in the body and create imbalance.
And as veterinarians, remembering that our first rule is to not create harm. And you brought up about vaccinations, and I think in our society today we've gone too far the other way. Vaccines years ago were very helpful, but now we've gone a little bit too far with over-vaccinating and keeping things in balance by checking, doing a titer to see if an animal actually needs a vaccine or not. And what we're learning is that the majority of puppies and kittens can get vaccinated and be protected for the rest of their life.
Right, and I think owners need to change their perspective with the way that you interact with your veterinarian and seek a more balanced approach, if you will, and not just use your vet for crisis management, but use them to understand how can we better balance our life, our pets' lives. And kind of jumping on what Heidi said in terms of talking about environmental toxins, I think that stress in the household is an environmental toxin. And working with your veterinarian with regards to recognizing stressors in your pets and what can cause stress, again, to look at a more globally in terms of the environment the pet lives in.
And even that some stress is actually good.
Exactly.
We don't want to be afraid of stress. We don't want to be so afraid of a little bit of pain. Our body system is built to react to pain and have an inflammatory system. And you don't want to overuse your body, but at the same time you don't want to sit back and do nothing. The little stressors actually make you stronger. The old principle of hormesis, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right? So, yeah, and we don't want to suppress all our inflammation with the NSAID drugs, the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. Dog comes in limping, lame, and sometimes the client or the veterinarian, the first thing they reach for is an NSAID drug to suppress that, when maybe that body needs to just feel that a little bit so that they don't overdo it and actually rest that area.
Right.
So in the end, how do we know if our pet is in balance or out of balance? Because as a typical pet parent, I'm not always certain.
And I would say that if you are seeing the vet for an illness, there is an imbalance. And so rather than focus, as Jodie mentioned, on the allopathic, the symptom, let's look at it more from a total perspective of the dog's health and ask the doctor with regards to a more broader picture. What imbalance is causing this particular symptom, as opposed to what drug are we going to use to stop this symptom?
And one of the first things that we're taught as veterinarians is how to do a physical exam. And there isn't any reason why a pet parent can't do and you do naturally, you do your own little physical exam. And I'm very systematic about that. So you look at their eyes. Do they have that sparkle in their eyes? Do they actually have a discharge in their eyes? Don't be afraid, lift up the lip. Maybe you're a little nervous about opening their mouth, but lift their lip up, look at their teeth, look at the color, get used to what normal is. In order to understand what abnormal is or what out of balance is, you have to have a good feel for what the normal is. And think about it from teeth to tail and looking at their mouth. Do they seem balanced in their body, the way they move? Do you notice that there's a limp going on? What does their coat look like? Is their spine arched up, like they're having either some back or abdominal pain? And how do they flow all the way to their tail? And then those little things like, are they eating? Are they defecating? What does that poop look like? Get used to normal poop. And some of us, we just don't even want to say that word. But as a doctor, you get used to talking about it all the time. And it's hard. I mean, honestly, you can save a lot of money at your vet visits if the vet says to you, what does the poop look like? And versus not knowing at all. Your dog goes off in the field and it hides in the weeds and you never get to see it, then you're going to have to probably spend more money on a radiograph or other tests to figure that out. One of my simple tests I do in the clinic is if they say they're not eating well at home, I put down some of my little meat-based treats and they gobble it up. Well, I just probably saved you an x-ray because I know things are going in and coming out.
And I think it's important that the veterinarian volunteer to show the clients how to do exactly what you're talking about. In other words, walk them through the physical that you do so they can mimic that on their own.
And that's one of the differences, I think, a lot of times about a holistic veterinarian is we take that time. I always sit down on the floor with the pet, and people want to have things explained.
And as a pet parent, just what we can do is make sure we're documenting, bringing in information, keeping the diary, so we have good information to pass along.
And we
to help the
appreciate
animal.
that.
And those videos.
Oh, that's right, videos too.
Yeah, videos.
Yeah, we can't stress it enough. You should all be keeping a pet journal. And with all the technology we have literally at our fingertips these days, be documenting these changes as you're seeing them. And as you're hearing here, folks, communication is so important for everybody and especially for your pet. This is a great start to what's going to be a tremendous season, as we have a lot of great topics to talk about here on Natural Pets TV, our dog edition. Hey everybody, thanks for joining us. It's a lot of fun, a lot of information, and we want to keep the dialogue going. Let's do that in the comment section down below. Don't forget to subscribe, because we've got a whole season of great episodes, great topics, and great guests. If you want to learn more about our guests here, for Heidi Nevela, you can do that at naturapets.com. For Dr. Jodie, it's drjodiesnaturalpets.com. And for Dr. Ken, it's thewelldog.com. You can always reach out to us at petworldinsider.com and all of the social media channels at Pet World Insider. Thanks for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.